So in this video, it's going to be a quick tutorial on fabric tumbler. Um, that I promised that I was going to make one tonight. So here goes. This video is going to be pretty quick. It's really late. I've got other work that I need to be working on. Pretty much this is one that I bought from Walmart, a tumbler that I bought from Walmart. This is a tumbler that I bought from Walmart. I think I paid, I don't know, $7, $8 for it. But I bought this one because this is one for my son to be able to take to school. Since I had to make a tutorial, so it's just a basic tumbler. With this, no prep work is needed on the actual cup itself, being that everything is going to be covered in fabric anyway. So just a really quick tip on that. Bought the fabric from Walmart also. You can buy the fabric. I think they come, I forget how it comes. I tossed the package. But you can buy small patches. You can buy pretty much whatever it is you want. He's a Batman fan, so of course I had to go with Batman. So we're going to go ahead and just dive into it. I'm going to just go ahead and jump off the cliff. That's my favorite saying. This is a really big sheet, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure it really quick. And the way that I measure is I just take the cup and put the cup on the inside and just pre-roll and leave just a little bit of room outside of it. So I've got this crease here, so what we'll do is we'll just cut along this crease. It's always good to use a pair of fabric shears, but because I live in a house full of kids that does a lot of craft projects, they like to take my craft scissors, so this is just a bag of pair that I have. So we're gonna make it work. So just to take another quick measurement, because they always say that you cut once, measure twice. Seems like it fits perfectly. Now we just need to cut the top off here just a bit. I always leave just a bit of overlapping on both sides as a precautionary. This is just in case here. I don't own the rights to the music in this, by the way. Although I like the music. So now that we've got that pretty much measured off, when you cut it, you always want to leave just a little bit of room. As you can tell here, once the cup is wrapped, it leaves just a little bit, and you always want to have that little bit of extra room, and I'll tell you why you want that little bit of extra room. I'll show you as we go. So now that we've got it cut, we'll just sit that to the side. Mod Podge. I used matte Mod Podge. Any kind of Mod Podge I think will work on a project like this, whether you use the gloss, whatever the case it is. I'm not a fan of the gloss, so I like this. And of course I always go back to my handy dandy, what are these called again? Applicator wedges that you get from the cosmetic department in Walmart is where I purchase these from. I think it comes like 100 in this, so worth it. If you don't use these, you can always use a brush of the sort, or you can use the foam brush, whatever works best for you. But I just go for what I can. I'm gonna put just a little bit of the Mod Podge on here. That makes it a little bit easier for me to access. I'm gonna grab some gloves, which in this project I think gloves are necessary because the Mod Podge can get nasty and it do bleed through the fabric, which is perfectly fine. So we just take the tumbler and put a healthy or a good amount of Mod Podge on it. And understand that the thinner you do the Mod Podge, the quicker that it dries. So on this, it's okay if the Mod Podge seep through, which is kind of what you want because you put Mod Podge on top of the fabric also. I like my trap wrap, by the way. I'm a fan of my trap wrap. On this, you can do the finger method also. I only like to use the finger method when I'm doing my epoxy on my cups. I use the applicator for pretty much everything that most people use for the finger method. So you just want a healthy amount of Mod Podge on the cup. I don't know why I put it on the bottom, but I am going to do the bottom, but I'll show you how the bottom is done after I get the initial application of it on there. Hey, 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 hey. Get it all over the cup, all the way to the top rather. Make sure that you go from the top to the bottom. Just turn it upside down really quick. Take the fabric. I typically just lay the fabric down like so. Take the cup and put it in the middle. Now, some people are really meticulous, or I guess really like to have the seams lined up. This is my son's cup, and it's just a really quick tutorial. The Mod Podge is expected to seep through, kind of like how you see it, which is perfectly fine. You shouldn't creep out or, be bothered that it is doing that. But you want to make sure that the fabric contours the cup. See how it comes through the Mod Podge? It's fine. I like to give it a bit of a tug, and as you give it a tug, you see it really begins to come through, which is fine. It's supposed to, but with this cup, it's got the little contour on the top, built with the lip, I guess you would say, because the cup has an indentation in it. So you always want to make sure that it works with the indentation. If you have to take it off and redo this process multiple times, it's perfectly fine. If it doesn't work for you, you just have to make sure that it works for you. Just by running your finger across it, sometimes the fabric does crease, and if it does crease, that's perfectly fine. I mean, it's not fine. I mean, you've got time to correct the situation before the Mod Podge dries. I mean, because pretty much it's you fighting against the Mod Podge drying at this point. I've got a couple of creases up here, so you just pull it off and just rework it. What I'm doing is just pressing it down. Smoothing it out. Make sure there's no creases or anything like that in there. You definitely don't want the creases in there. Because when you get ready to put the epoxy on top of it, the epoxy will seep into the seep into the creases that you have. I'm just going back over it really quick to make sure that I got all the creases out. So it fits on pretty good, like such. Okay, now that little extra bit that we had left over, what you want to do is you want to peel it back. I didn't cut that straight at all. Just a really quick tutorial. I'm sorry. I should be a lot more professional about it. But you get the gist of where we're going with it. That's going to be hidden, so you really won't be able to see it anyway. So what you want to do is the piece that's on the cup, this is the fabric just pull back a little bit, but the piece that's on the cup, you want to put Mod Podge, pull the fabric back just a bit, although you did just lay it on there. Pull the fabric back a bit and kind of get in there kind of thick with the Mod Podge. And put the Mod Podge farther back just a hair bit. It's okay. I mean, it's expected that the Mod Podge is going to come through, but once the Mod Podge dries, it dries clear. So now that we've got it like that, and the reason why you want to kind of get that on kind of thick, especially right there, is because when you get ready to cut it here, in order to line it up, or in order to give you that seam, if you don't put Mod Podge on it and you get ready to cut it, it's going to be stringy, kind of like how you see it on the inside of it. It's going to be stringy. So now that we did that, take the part that you have pulled back and just pull it over it. Pull it really tight because you don't want any excess room or anything left in this. You don't want any excess leather, just kind of, excess fabric just flapping around. You always want to make sure you pull it. You can pull it as tight as you can, and that comes through, just wipe it down on the cup. You understand that the fabric does overlap the fabric, but that's what you want it to do because you want it to dry, and as it dry and get a little bit of Mod Podge here. And right where your line is, you can feel the line right here from the first piece of fabric that's actually on the cup versus what is overlapping. Take you some Mod Podge and kind of get in there just a little. Get in there because when you get ready to cut it, if this isn't Mod Podge, then it'll leave strings hanging from the cup, kind of like how when I cut it the first time, how that piece of string is just kind of hanging. That's fine right now. So now that we have that on there, what you want to do, get a little bit more Mod Podge. Now that we have that on there, what you want to do is you want to put a light coat of Mod Podge on top, is what I do. It dries clear. Just a really thin coat. Running out of Mod Podge here. Guess I need to go back over to the store on tomorrow. I literally just got off work. And I promised this lady that I was going to make her a tutorial. And I like to be a man of my word. Yes, I switched to the finger method, especially on top. I find that when I'm using these on top of the fabric, it tends to break it apart. So it's always best to use either like a bristle brush, or either the bristle brush or the finger method on top of it. I try not to go super thick. It dries clear, so it's fine. Okay, so now that we have that and it looks pretty good, where the bottom of the cup is, you also want to carry the Mod Podge over just a bit because we're going to be cutting the bottom, and you want to kind of get the fabric thick or saturated in the Mod Podge so when you get ready to cut it, it doesn't string up. When I say string up, when you cut, like when you're cutting fabric, how it leaves strings or it leaves the threads, that's what we don't want. And you're gonna do the same thing for the top. Uh, make sure you get the complete cup. And while you're doing the finger method on top of it, you can feel if your fabric is creased. And if it is creased, you can always just pull this back off and just redo it. I find it kind of hard if you're going to redo it after you put so much Mod Podge on it. It is a little white, but it's going to dry clear. Really want to get in there. Relax up here. Found a little crease, I just wanted to get that out. You want to make sure you don't chunk or leave gobs of goobs, or whatever it is you want to call it, of Mod Podge on the cup, because if you leave it like that, then it's going to dry like that, and that's definitely not what you want. With this, I'm going to go ahead and put my blow dryer on it in order to speed up the process just a little bit. This is just to speed the Mod Podge up really. As you can tell, it's kind of going back to its natural color. Mod Podge typically dries clear, which is a good thing. This is a great time to catch any mistakes or whatever the case it is that you feel in the cup by running your finger across it. My biggest thing that I want to make sure that I get dried is the fold over here. Always make sure you get that really good. Now there's different methods when it comes to cutting it. tell as it dries, it starts to come back to its original color that it was. It's got this dip at the top. I just want to make sure that the fabric sticks to it. So that's what I was checking for there. My wife is horrible with coming out here taking my tools. Yes, I can blame it on her. But she's asleep right now. I always like to change out my blade anyway to make sure that I have a really sharp blade on the X-Acto when you get ready to cut it, because you don't want it to snag and rip and mess up. This is critical when it comes to it. I like to use this in order to line it up, my washi tape, in order to line it up to make sure that I get the line cut almost perfect. Let me get my X-Acto. Which is going to be in the house. One sec. Just as I thought, in the house. Alright. So you can feel where the line is from where the first layer of fabric is under the overlay. It's back here. So typically what I do is I take my tape, feel where it is, and put it just beside it. I feel it back there. It's okay that it's typically what I like to do is you can't see it because this layer here is beneath that layer. This is the top layer, but you can feel it through the bottom of the cup. So once I put this on here in order to cut it, it takes just a little bit of that first layer off, just a hair bit of that first layer off, and it takes off the rest of this top layer too. So always make sure you get it on there as straight as you can. And when you get it on there, take an X-Acto. You always want to make sure you have a really, really sharp X-Acto because you don't want to go back over this multiple times. It may scratch up the cup just a hair bit, but I mean, it's fine. You won't be able to see it because it'll be over top the cup anyway. this line actually helps you out a lot because you can see where you've been according to the washi tape that you have on here. And pull off that extra, which is going to be on the top there. It's okay if it comes off. You just pretty much, you can always go back over it and put more Mod Podge beneath it. And up here is just the top excess, so I'll just snip that off with the scissors. Take the tape off. I typically pull it up because it was just more so about the measurement of it, and there's always going to be that little piece that's beneath it. Pull that off. And now spread it open just a little bit, and we're going to put just a bit more Mod Podge on the inside of it. Now that we have the measurement, sometimes if you cut it right and pull it off right, you wouldn't have to go back over this process, but because I didn't, we're going to have to go back over it. Doesn't take a lot, just a hair bit. And then take it and just pull it in order to cover in the gap that we have in there. If you do it right, not the gap, but if you do it right, you don't see the inside of the cup, which is the goal of it. You want to make sure that you're closing it really good. And just put a little bit of heat on it, then I'll show you where the crease is. Hi, one person that's up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm going to just cut off the edges that we had up top, the extra piece that we had up top. I never cut it all the way to the rim of the cup, especially in the beginning of it. Because I can always go back and fix the remainder of it, and we're going to do the same thing to the bottom. Always leave just a little bit because we're going to cut a circle for the bottom in order to put on the bottom. And I'll show you how to measure that bottom. And with a little extra fold over on the bottom, I'm going to just put a little bit of Mod Podge on it in order to pull it over. In order to get this to go on the bottom of the cup in the piece that we put on the top. The circle that we cut out will go over top that. It folds over just like that. We'll put a circle on the bottom of it. I typically put my logo on the bottom of it, but on the bottom of this business is my son's cup. I guess I won't force him to advertise for me. And come up to the top and get it cut as close as you can. Once you put the epoxy on it and the epoxy gets on it, you can cut it a lot closer. That's when I typically get really, really close with it, is when the epoxy gets on it. because the epoxy will get inside of the fabric and actually hold what you need onto the fabric. And then at that point, I'll just take my Exact Seal and go around the rim of the cup. But this here is just pretty much the basis of it. I'm gonna let this dry overnight because I don't like forcing my hand when it comes to the epoxy. So this is pretty much what the base of it looks like. This is pretty much what the base of it looks like. It's still wet before it gets ready to get the bottom piece put on it and it gets the epoxy. So this is just the start of how the fabric tumbler looks before the second step that we'll do, and I'm not going to do that until in the morning because I've got other stuff that I need to get done. I just wanted to get this video shown really quick so you can see what the fabric tumbler looks like.